Yeah, that is what it is. Hiranyagarbha, that's why it includes the magical powers. This Kundalini, Lingvini, all these.
What does that word mean again?
Hiranyagarbha is a subtle powers of Ishvara, Bhagavan's subtle powers of manifestation. And and desiring to harness that overlordship in a small way through these small siddhis, from Kundalini to Lingvini. Yeah, these siddhis, they.
Telekinesis is another one.
Huh? Telekinesis, teleporting, teledeporting, all these things. Yeah. So this is what it is. So we have to turn the back on that, because those things attract mysticism, suddenly going somewhere, suddenly turning into something else. And I met this woman. Yeah, I met this woman in I forgot some Zulu, South Africa, Zulu, and she said she's studying with a guru. Yes, even there the word guru has, guru word is all pervasive. Guru word has reached Zulu speaking parts of South Africa. And I said, she's training with a guru. I said, what are you studying? Guru means, I thought they may be having some indigenous, I was very excited. Tell me. And she said, I'm learning how to become a dog. Here we are learning how one is God. And there she was learning, this woman does exist, I'm not making this up. And she said that her teacher has learnt from her teacher learnt from his or her teacher, I forget, of how to suddenly turn into a dog and then roam the streets of the, Johannesburg. Don't know why, but that's what it is. And the dog, for some reason, was very important, because that was the most difficult. And once you became the dog and then got back, of course, assuming you can come back, assuming you come back to your own body, and then you can inhabit other people's bodies along with your own self, you inhabit their selves. How invasive, anyhow, how rude. Anyway, so people are generally people are so disconnected from their own bodies. Why you would want to go and inhabit some other body? Inhabit your own body. Do everyone a favor. And so now, after praising this, after praising Hiranyagarbha, the various goodies of Hiranyagarbha, and after praising Nachiketa's Vairagya of why this, why he has left so much, and the greatness of Nachiketa is not less than Hiranyagarbha himself, because he's, you say, Anuttamam, you are incomparable. There is no one like you who can leave this, who can leave the penchant for these, grabbing the final thing, some, scraps, some powers, some subtle powers, and controlling the universe through the wielding, Lingvini. What is Lingvini? Kundalini. Yeah. So, this is what this whole penchant has been gone from Nachiketa. Little Nachiketa is so pure that he doesn't want that anymore. He has Viveka and Vairagya to the extreme. That's why he says Ati Srishtavan. Ati means extreme renunciation. Yeah. So extreme renunciation you have. I've never seen anything. Are you for real? And he pinches his cheek. And do you even exist? Are you for real? Are you even, such kind of Vairagya? Is it there? Even I don't have it. How come you have it? He's just very admiring. And then the human nature is such that one never gets into something, including samsara. Of course, one is born in it, that's a different thing. But one doesn't get into something without knowing what is going to come out of this. Well, what is the phala? Correct? One needs to know. And then the jnanasya phalam atra uchyate. So now the knowledge, before it is given, a little mini sneak preview on what happens on why this knowledge is important and what happens to you. So what? Like here, Hiranyagarbha you got, so what? Nothing happened. You were unafraid for a little bit, and then you started to have nightmares again. Yeah, daymares in samsara. That's what happened. So Hiranyagarbha it's a finite result. But then knowing the infinite as yourself, not as an object of adoring, as an object of worship, as an object of milking something, some desire or the other, but knowing the ultimate as yourself, what do you get? What is it that you get? And that is described in the next verse. Tam durdarsham gudhamanupravishtam
Tandurdarsham gudhamanupravishtam
Tandurdarsham gudhamanupravishtam
Tandurdarsham gudhamanupravishtam
Guhahitam
Guhahitam
Gahvareshtham Puranam
Gahvareshtham Puranam
Adhyatmayogadhigamena Devam
Adhyatmayogadhigamena Devam
Matvadhiro
Matvadhiro
Harshashokau Jahati
Harshashokau Jahati
Matvadhiro Harshashokau Jahati.
Matvadhiro Harshashokau Jahati.
Yeah, so this is very beautiful, wonderful, very, very nice. Tam, already the akanksha is there. It was said akankshan, param akankshan, that param, tam, that. Sahatau te, tam, that. What is that? Durdarsham. Durdarsham is not, it's a sight for sore eyes. One interpretation of Durdarsham. No, it's not a sight for sore eyes. It is difficult to see as an object. It's difficult to discern. It is difficult to get the pulse of it. Dukkhena darshanam yasya. That which is difficult to see, difficult to find. Why? Sukshmatvat, ati sukshmatvat, because it is in the form of you. How are you going to see it as an object? Ati sukshmatvat, durdarsham. I told you, dus becomes dur, and the prefix dus is always means hard, difficult, bad. So difficult to see, not because it's a sight for sore eyes, oh my god, I can't look at the Atma. No, not because of that. Because it is hard to see as separate from you. It is the being the content, the truth of the seer. It's not an object. And one is object oriented. This is the content, the truth, the ultimate reality of the subject called param, tam param, durdarsham. Why is it durdarsham? Ati sukshmatvat, because it is very subtle. Another reason, guhahitatvat, durdarsham. Each one is the cause of the other. Guha, because it's hidden in a cave. What is the cave? Buddhi, buddhau. In the buddhi. What is buddhi? The cognitive, the place where all cognition and recognition takes place. The cognizer is not an object of cognition, being self-effulgent, self-revealing and self-existent, self-sustaining. So the cognizer does not have to rely on the cognition to know the I. Whereas with regard to all the objects in the universe, the cognizer has to rely on the process of cognition. This is a gift because I don't have to bring in a separate, that keep that separation of the cognizer cognized. This is where everything resolves. So this is the only thing. The cognizer doesn't have to know as an object, it being the very content, the truth of I, the subject. That's why it is guhahitam. even though hitam is dha, hitam nihitam, that which is, in the intellect as the truth of the cognizer, that self-revealing, total, infinite, limitless consciousness, which is I, morphs into the knower, the cognizer, temporarily. The cognizer arises, it's a temporary status arising out of that same consciousness, and that which is cognized, the object, also arises from the same consciousness. And the Param, the ultimate, that I, being neither cognizer nor cognized, but without that I, neither the cognizer is upheld, nor the cognized can exist. This is the truth. This is why it is guhahitam. It is that which powers the buddhi, which empowers the buddhi to know everything. Itself is not an object of knowledge. But where is this? Gahvareshtham, Gahvare sthitam, Gahvara, just like it sounds, in the midst of all kinds of sludge. Gahvara means deep ravines, sludge, and horrible conditions, difficult conditions. Gahvareshtham. Gahvara means what? It's very difficult. What is the Gahvara here? Ragadvesha. Ragadvesha. Because samsarasya adhishthanam, the truth of samsara is in samsara alone. It's not out of samsara. Yeah, samsara is a superimposition on that truth. In fact, that truth has been mistaken for samsara. That's the problem. Our problem is that it's a mistake. And all the elements that cause the mistake are called Gahvara. In the forest of Ragadveshas, this I shines. Neither the cognizer nor the cognized, untouched by papa, punya, untouched by raga, dvesha, but as though occluded by papa, punya, raga, dvesha. Therefore it is hitam, hidden. Durdarsham, durdarshatvat, because it is difficult. Why is it difficult to see? Because it is guhahitam, guhahitatvat. Because it is guhahitam, because it is difficult to find. It is. Why is it difficult to find? Gahvareshtatvat guhahitam. Because it lies, it is discovered in the middle of the weeping, sad, angry, mad self. Gahvare tishtati. Yeah. What holds the crying, weepy jiva? Yeah, weepy or creepy jiva. What upholds this is this self-shining light, which is neither weepy nor creepy. Yeah. This is what it is. Oh, so how old is it? Puranam, that which always is the same without changing. Thoughts change, objects of thoughts in relation to the thoughts change. And all this is on the unchanging canvas of the subject. It's a movie. What is this? The old, reel. When we take the reel to be real, this is what this is the problem. It's a reel. Yeah. It's a reel. And when you see the movie, you just you go you get carried away with the characters. You cry with the characters. You laugh with the characters. Oh, such a sad thing is happening. Oh, their baby got kidnapped. Oh no. And then, oh, the husband and wife got separated. How sad. Oh, they have nothing to eat. Oh no. As one is munching the popcorn, one is crying. Oh no. The whole place is in drought. Buttered popcorn. Yeah. And then what? with a tall drink by the side.
They're reeling from the reel.
Yeah, exactly. So, tall drink by the side, the size of which is ready to quench the thirst of a small village. Yeah, that is how in America they say you have to drink this much water. 8 glasses, they'll show the glass this big. Glub, 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 you can drown in it. Yeah. Yeah, what they give in this, when you ask for a drink, especially at the movies, that size which they give, that's most people's bath water in it. That's a bath bucket water. Yeah, not exaggerating. That's what it is. In the villages, you have to be very cautious. You have to, and that same water after bathing, you stand in a small little tub and then bathe, and then that goes to the garden. Nothing is wasted, and that what you are supposed to drink here, this is enough for bathing one person there. This is what it is. So here you are at the movies, crying along with the characters, eating, drinking, doing whatever, laughing along with the characters. What is forgotten is the screen. And there are some people who walk away as soon as the ending, the happy ending, finishes. In Hindi movies, they have a family photograph at the end. At least in the old Hindi movies, they used to have. I don't know how the American movies end. But anyhow, but somehow you must come to know this is the end. So most people walk away. Okay, everything, they have stopped fighting. The abducted baby has been found safe and sound. In fact, she didn't want to come back to the original parents because she was having such a good time. And so everyone is living happily ever after. And then you start to leave. But there are some people who persist and sit there because they want to get every little thing from the money they have paid at the counter. So perhaps they are the lucky few who get to see what the screen looks like. Because if you wait long enough, all the credits, all the advertisement, everything goes. And then before the curtain, sometimes the curtain doesn't even come down, I think. But then you see, you have the blank screen. Yeah, that is the Atma, which becomes a sitting duck for tragedies, comedies, mostly tragi-comedies. Yes. Yeah, creepy movies are projected on this Atma, the Atma. Do you think that after seeing a horror film full of bloodshed, some of the blood gets to the screen? No. It is called screen because it doesn't scream at every turn. Yeah. It is sve mahimni tishtati. It projects the horror without getting horrified. It projects the tragedy without succumbing to the tears. It projects the fears without being afraid. It projects the joy without getting infected by that joy. It's not dependent on a high from that joy. It projects everything that there is to project because that is its job. It is a universal projector. And it becomes a sitting duck for the projections of the Ragadvesha, the sludge of samsara, sitting in the deep remains of this guha, this cave-like intellect, which hides the screen from view because it's always so busy. There is so much drama. There is so much panorama. There is no Rama, that's all. That's what. This is what it is. This is Atma in 3D. That's what it is. So everything it takes seriously because it has to look real. If the screen were starting to say, hello folks, this is not real, you feel like throwing a tomato on the screen. That's not fun. It has to look real. That's the play. If you know it, it is Leela. What is Leela? Yeah, the celestial fun, play. Yeah, Atma Kridaha, Atma Ratihi. Mundakopanishad is going to say later on. Atmaratihi, Atmakridaha, the one who plays as the Atma, in the Atma. If Mithya is understood, then it's a play. If the real is mistaken for the real, then there is a VP Jiva. Yeah, afraid of other creepy Jivas. This is what happens. This is what is being shown here. Gahvareshtham Puranam, this screen which was always there, which will continue to be there. And various movies it will project. Life after life, various Jivas it spits out and takes back. And without having any problem to it, it washes its hands off. It doesn't get affected by being, by being that which takes on the projection, because it doesn't take anything on. Not a single stain of this on the screen you will find. It may be raining in the movie, but the screen is dry. The movie may all be about water. The screen is dry. The movie may have scorching sunlight. It may be about the desert of Rajasthan. But the screen doesn't need sunscreen. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm showing a movie on India, the desert of India. Better to wear SPF 30. It doesn't do that before it projects, because it is unaffected by what it projects. And why is this important? That it is you. I have to internalize this. I am unaffected by what I project. What is projected? It's just a mere projection. This is a mantra to say at times when this, Gahvareshtha, this the Ragadveshas spew forth their volcano. This is what it behooves us to remember. This is why it is given even before the knowledge. The knowledge is almost coming, hang in there. And this is what needs to be understood first. So precursor, this is the appetizer. And what is that? That nothing that is evident to me, including my own emotions, my drama, my trauma, affects me at all. I am free of everything which is projected through this body, mind, sense complex. Hunger, anger, fear, prana based, body based, mind based, emotion based, ahankara based. Nothing is affected. Nothing affects this I. The I is that which faithfully sustains everything, projects everything, rejects nothing, but is never the subject of dejection because of the projection. This is what this mantra is trying to teach. Puranam. And then, how do you know this? What is this? Devam, self-shining Bhagavan. Where is the Bhagavan? Gahvareshtham, the Bhagavan is trapped in trying circumstances, as it were, occluded by the forest of Ragadvesha. That is the deforestation we have to work on. The inner Ishvara is what? Ishate, Ishani Bhihi, it keeps eating, and the overlordship is not seen, the glory is not owned up. And the jiva feels inglorious even though one is in glory. Yeah. One feels inglorious even though one is in glory. This is Deva, the glorious one, the overlord of everything, the cause of the universe, all pervasive, the I that abides in all. That I is called Deva, self-shining, doesn't need anyone to make it evident. That which upholds everything that is existent, that which lends itself to all names and forms that are existent without becoming any one of them. This magical Deva that I was almost going on a Hiranyagarbha ride, but this ride is sounding nicer. No ghee expenditure involved. No karma here. Oh, but Shama Dhamma I have to cultivate, that is karma. That's not karma. Shamadama is not karma phala. Please understand. Oh, then I thought karma I am using for emotional maturity. It's not karma that gives emotional maturity. It's the attitude with which the karma is done that can give possibly emotional maturity. This is what we have to understand. And knowing this makes all the difference to internalize this teaching. Adhyatma yoga adhigamena. So here we have left the shores of karma because that's not going to do me any good. It's not even enough to bring shamadama, vairagya, viveka. Karma doesn't produce that. The attitude with which the karma is done perhaps can produce that. That's a different thing. So what for my karma? I don't need this anymore. I let go of that and focus on adhigama. Yeah, adhigachati. Adhigama means cognitively understanding this truth, because this truth is not a product. It is the very nature of the one that is seeking it. This truth is not something that is manufactured. It is purana. It is unmanned, unmanufactured. It's not a product of karma. It is a product, if it is even can be called a product. It's the content. It's not a product. It's the content of yourself, and that self which needs to be understood, known, internalized and made peace with. This is what is needed. This is called Adhyatma Yoga. A yoga, committed lifestyle given for Adhyatma, for myself, the knowledge. Yoga, the joining of the Adhyatma with myself. Adhyatma is centered on the individual. Yoga, yuj, to join, that U-turn. That yoga, that handshake of the I as the owner of this body, mind, sense complex, the commitment of the owner of the body, mind, sense complex, the ahankara makes a commitment to know the truth of itself, to subserve itself, to know the truth of itself. Adhyatma yoga. Tasya adhigamena. Through that kind of a cognition which brings in teacher, which brings in surrender, which brings in making my ignorance a social fact so that I don't run away from it, so that I embrace it, address it, clean it up and stop identifying with it. This is a procedure. This is a nishtha, means it's a lifestyle, it's a committed lifestyle, committed to the knowledge, knowing that I have nothing to do with karma. Matva, jnatva, knowing this, what happens? Dhiraha, the aforementioned Nachiketa like person who is got lot of viveka, vairagya, all the trailings of qualifications, are a trail of glory behind this Nachiketa, like that kind of a person, who is a person of courage, perseverance and vairagya and viveka, discrimination. Matva, having known such a person, harsha shokau, harshaha cha, shokaha cha, jahati, ha, third conjugation, gives up, abandons, harsha, abandons, shoka. How to abandon? Shoka means what? Sadness. Harsha means what? Happiness. Ayyo. How to abandon happiness? I thought that's what I wanted. Harsha here is situational happiness, situation high, contact high, when that the kind of high that is produced, the kind of happiness that's produced by the rubbing of the subject with the object, the contact of the object, the uniting, which is always temporary. Viyogantas sanyogaha. So all sanyoga, all coming together is before falling apart. That's what it is. Yeah. All coming together is incumbent on falling apart. That's all it is. Anything that comes together has to go away from each other. So too the objects of desire. Even if you take ice cream, how many can you eat? you know. You love ice cream, you know. And then after that, you just say ice cream, you know. You can't eat it even if you love it. Why? Because you have having tummy ache, already having had 52. Sometimes they have ice cream contest. Yeah, 52 ice creams this fellow ate, and then you know that it was so cold that he fainted. Yeah, because that brain freeze. There is an expression, I don't know if it applies here, but anyhow. So, yeah, something happened and he fainted. He had to be taken to hospital. This is what it is. Not too much dairy in the stomach, who knows what it was. But this is, you know, you can't even, there is some kind of a surfeit between the subject and the object. And even if you love someone, the significant other, how long are you going to sit and look at them? You get bored, go do something, you'll tell them. Or you will yourself get up and do something. How long you can sit and stare at them, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. How long you can sit and say that? After a while you said, I think I have other things to do. See you later. Because otherwise you can't, you know, after that you can't stand them. You'll get sick of them. Every single thing about them will start annoying you. If you don't take space from minute one. Yeah. This is what happens. So, any Sanyoga is until Viyoga. That is what Sanyoga, Sama plus Yoga coming together. Since we are talking of Adhyatma Yoga, we will talk of two other yogas, Sanyoga, Viyoga. Yeah. Viyoga. And then what Viyoga means? Disjuncture, alienation, separation, Sanyoga, union. So the Harsha, the Hrish, to rejoice, the rejoicing that comes out of the contact, the Sanyoga with another person, object, thing, you know, whatever your situation, that contact high no longer is needed. Why? Because one is high all the time. Yeah, one is riding high on this glory of this knowledge. One is so fulfilled, so Purna. Yeah, that is the meaning of the word Uru, Purna. That was the meaning. Yeah. Urutvena Geyam, Purnatvena Geyam. Yeah. That which is full, that's the thing, Purna. So, this is the thing. So, that, you know, that kind of an alternating sorrow, happiness, Sanyoga, Viyoga, that is what is given up. I exchange that Sanyoga, Viyoga, now high, now low, now high, now low, like a yo-yo. I exchange the yo-yo life for what? For not a flat line. Not a flat line, for a constant, a constancy, a Swarupa Ananda, a joy that is born of or recognized as the fruit of knowing my own nature, which does not depend on external factors, their presence, absence, or their certain behaviors. So there is nothing to control. Na kaschit gopaitum ichhati, na tatra vijugupsate, we saw that. So here, this is what is, it's going to, you know, this is the effect of this knowledge, this is the jnana phalam. Samsara phala was pointed out, animadi, you know, siddhina, in the form of anima siddhis, and you can touch the robes of Hiranyagarbha, all that was pointed out. And then here, the jnanasya phalam, what is the fruit of knowing this? What am I going to get out of this? You are not at the mercy of the jagat. Adhyatma, adhibhuta, adhidaiva, including your own body, mind, sense complex. You are not at its mercy anymore to milk your happiness, your contentment. Discovering the truth of yourself as the most contented person, you are not at the mercy of the jagat or its maker, because you know I am one with the maker. So, matva doesn't mean man to consider, jnatva, man to, it's a gaining this knowledge, jnatva, atmatvena jnatva, knowing the knowledge, knowing this truth of, assimilating the truth of this knowledge as myself alone. Harsha shokau, that's why the two are together, because they are a cycle. The yo-yo life of harsha now, shoka later, shoka, little bit harsha, oh, shoka, harsha. This is what it is. Life is like that. And so one becomes a samsara-holic because I want some harsha. But samsara is not the place for harsha. What is the place for harsha? You, the all-pervasive one. And so when I understand this, I stop being the seeker of the finite infinitely, because I have changed over my allegiance to becoming the seeker of the infinite. This is what it is. So harsha shoka, the alternative vicious cycle trap of happiness, sorrow, sorrow, happiness, sorrow, 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 samsaro, happiness. This has been given up. I don't become a beggar for that happiness which is really myself. That contact happiness, the situational happiness, Vishaya, Kendrita, Harsha and Shoka, the situational sadness, situational happiness is Jahati, gives up along with all the other things that have been given up. That also is given up because I don't need it as a prop. I don't need this drama in my life. Why? Because I am Atma Ramaha. Yeah. Atma Rama. Atma Ratihi means I revel in the truth of myself. I find myself so fascinating. And this is not in the narcissistic sense. This is in the sense of the I being everything. I find myself infinitely fascinating because I happen to be infinite. And therefore I am not relying on these alternative, whatever the samsara milch cow, what it can give me, no longer tempts, no longer moves me in the same way that I used to be moved. And this is what happens sometimes. And as you study Vedanta, you might be noticing in your own life the things that you would love to do now feels meh. Okay, go there, so what? You feel bored, you feel like coming out. You may stay there because you feel you have to, be polite. But most of the time, you just say enough. This is not fascinating me anymore. That is what it is. And this is the reason why people get scared. Oh, I won't be fascinated by samsara anymore. Oh my God. I used to love going to movies. Now I can't even go to the movies because I'm not enjoying any movie. But, let's say it's not a trade-off because you're enjoying yourself so much. This is what it is. Whole Jagat is a beautiful thing that you can enjoy. You see Ishvara in everything. And that is infinitely more entertaining and fulfilling than the yo-yo, zigzag, harsha shoka life that one has been leading, feeling quartered in the process. So this is a big shift, and we will see the bhasha on Wednesday, 7:30 in the morning. The new timings. Wednesday, Friday, 7:30 in the morning. Saturday, Sunday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay? Yeah. And so tomorrow, no classes. And then, at least for me. And then, Tuesday, 4 baje, 4 o'clock, not in the morning. And in the afternoon, Bhagavad Gita, 6 o'clock, Shvetu, Shveta Shvetara. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Okay? Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.